Okay, so hello guys.
Hello.
Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Whoever's able to join us, or if you're watching a replay on Facebook or on Zoom.
I'm in cougar mode.
Oh boy. So yeah, we were wondering how many people would be tuning in today because
Yeah. Sure.
because of the holiday season. I know everybody is getting all their Christmas stuff done. I actually just finished my Christmas shopping. I started yesterday and just finished. To be fair, I buy a lot
I
of
just
gift
need one
cards.
stocking stuffer. Son of a bitch.
That's not.
Oh, sorry. Poop.
All right.
Poop. Son of a poop.
Okay, so
We could end
are
that.
we on Instagram, Facebook, and our Zoom channel?
I do it.
So if anybody has any questions, please just type them in the comments and we will address them as soon as we know about them. And we can see the panelists here on the Zoom call. So yeah, should we just get right into it?
We should. We told everybody there was a surprise today.
Yeah, there's a surprise today.
Yes, it's very entertaining. It's
Yeah.
actually it's a story.
It is a story.
And we think it's a big story and a big achievement.
Yep.
So are we telling them now or what are we doing?
So
Now.
yeah, okay. So what? Yeah, if we just say what it is,
Yeah.
so we can kill the suspense, and then if you guys want to hear how this all transpired, then you can follow along for the story.
For sure.
We didn't really practice this.
No, right? You can tell it's all live. Live. So anyways.
Now Barbara says, okay, for Barbara.
So basically, we are super excited to tell you guys that for those that have seen it, our 1 acre compound with the office and warehouse, we officially own it. We are no longer business tenants. We bought our building.
Which is our first commercial property
Right?
ever. And we don't do commercial, we say all the time.
Yeah, that's what happens. I tell her all the time. You just put it out there. So guess what? It's going to happen in the next 4 months. We know it's happening.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, as of December 1st, we are the owners of this commercial office space and warehouse space and the land and everything. So thank you, Barbara. Congratulations. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting, but we'll kind of break in. We wanted to really go over the backstory of how
this happened
and how it happened, the journey through it, and just how some things happen really organically, and you don't have to force everything. Joelle, fantastic, congrats, thanks. Well, Joelle's been here, you guys saw this. So they we just wanted to go and we talk about manifesting all the time and how you speak to the universe and the universe listens.
And if you are a hardcore educator in real estate, you're still going to want to hear this story because it revolves around creative finance.
Yeah.
And that is a very cool component to the whole story.
Yeah. And then also bringing in win-win scenarios and kind of reading where people are at. And just because you are in one specific place or space in your world doesn't mean that other people are in that same space. So yeah, and I've actually had some conversations with other people that were like, oh my gosh, I might have a building that I'm like, no more right now. We're full. But yeah, so we'll just kind of break into it. And do we have any questions at all on there or anything?
Okay. All right, we'll carry on.
You can see the Zoom guys.
Yeah, we got all that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're good.
Go team social media.
Yeah.
So, well, I think we should go all the way back to even before we had an office space.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that Rochelle and I started this company out of our homes. Like Rochelle's address was the business address, and my kitchen eating area was the office for a
It transpired because
Yeah.
originally in the beginning it was my house.
Yes.
And then that's just when it was just us and Alyssa.
Yeah.
And then from there it went over to Alyssa's dining room. And then from there it kind of grew. And then from there we used the garage at one of our rental properties for the warehouse space.
Yeah.
Outgrew that. And then we realized that things were just growing. Things weren't going to slow down. We needed more space. And that's when we were like, we need a commercial space for sure.
And boy, that was entertaining, us trying to shop for that, because our list was like this long, because it was like, well, it has to be on the west side.
Yeah. And we were like, it has to be super close to home. So there was basically two areas in Saskatoon that we could have been off of 11th Street or in the King George industrial area. So wow, the pickings were slim.
Yeah, it was entertaining to say the
Yep.
least because the commercial realtor we worked with was like, okay then.
She kept bringing us north end stuff.
And
We're
we're
like,
like,
no,
no,
not gonna drive,
no,
not gonna happen.
no. So for those that don't know the layout of Saskatoon, the north end of the city is where I would say probably 70% of the businesses,
Industrial and
industrial
commercial.
businesses are
Yeah.
for Saskatoon are located there. So just to give you parameters for those that haven't been here. And therefore, the traffic getting into that end of the city and getting out of that end of the city around the whistleblower times, aka basically from 7:30 in the morning till 9 a.m. and 3 till 5 p.m., 6 p.m. in there is horrific. Okay. There's one thing that's kind of sad about our city. I don't like to talk about it, but the traffic moving of people in the city sucks. Just saying. It should not take you 45 minutes to get across the city. There's 320,000 people. Just saying.
And it seems like everybody hits the road at the same time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
literally. So, anyways, so we just knew we were like, yeah, our patients has zero tolerance for that kind of life. Not to mention us putting our team members through that, all the things, right?
Mhm.
It was kind of a whole cascade of things. So here we are, we're shopping. And then we actually did find a spot we liked.
Mhm.
And it was actually, ironically, our first commercial space was literally a block from where we are now.
But this is
One
one
block.
we wanted.
Yeah. But so, anyways, we had also, yes, we had toured this one and this other one at the same time. And so there were pros and cons about both places. And so we ultimately liked this one though because of the land space. That was the big thing. It had a big yard and the land, and we liked that it had separate office and warehouse space, right? So that was really kind of convenient. So then we ended up putting basically an offer in
To lease.
to lease it. Yeah. And then it was turned down.
No,
So
it was
we
accepted.
oh right.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
accepted, and we
Yeah.
were so stoked because
Yeah.
we were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing because we're going
Yeah.
to have the space. And we had kind of like already set it up.
Yeah.
But apparently, and this we didn't know, we learned this lesson, but somebody came behind and actually did an offer to purchase. And I guess in commercial, it can void any previous lease offers.
Yeah.
And so we were at a conference in the States and we got a
Yeah.
phone call from the realtor and they said, I'm so sorry, but apparently they have
That was
gone,
Fortune Builders, wasn't it?
no,
No.
Market.
Market. Oh,
And
okay.
so they were like, where are, yeah, anyway, we were just kind of blindsided because we were like, but
What?
we had an accepted lease. Like
Yeah.
it was
Like
written
how
there.
does it both parties have signed,
Yeah.
all is
And they were
good.
like, commercial works different than residential. Apparently, if somebody comes to put an offer on to buy, it could veto a lease. And we were like, we didn't know that because, like, that's shady. That sounded
Yeah.
shady to us. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not cool. Like, if somebody goes and basically, says yes, kind of like a handshake deal, like, yes, our word is our bond. That's
Yeah.
our
We were,
moral
yeah.
principles. And so we were like,
We were
what?
a tad bent out of
It
shape,
was
but yeah,
not great.
we weren't really excited. But then we
So,
had to prep talk
and
or pep talk.
yeah, so we were like, okay, something
So
bigger is
figures
coming.
coming,
That happens for a
this
reason,
yeah,
all that
all
stuff.
that stuff. We're like, I don't know. We keep getting told this, and all these seminars we go to that just you got to take it with a grain of salt, and then you got to just let it go, and something will come out of it. So in the end, we did get an office that was a block over,
And it was crazy because we were supposed to like move in within like 6 weeks. And so we
Mhm.
were like, came back from our trip and we were like scrambling. So thankfully we looked at this backup
Yeah,
office and they were really motivated. And
yeah,
then that's where,
yeah. So we were able to get in there very quickly. And at first, it was a good space. We appreciated the space and it was working, but then it had,
there was a multitude of things though.
yeah,
Like one was, it was about 75% office space
yeah,
compared to about, well, maybe, I don't know, 70-30 maybe. I don't
yeah,
know. But
yeah,
the warehouse space was little compared to the
yeah,
office space.
yeah,
And at that point in time, we didn't need as much office space. We needed more warehouse space.
yeah,
So we outgrew the warehouse. So we needed more storage. And then our team was growing so fast,
yeah.
there was no parking. Excuse me. And
Mhm.
then there was complaints from other people on the street because we were taking up too much of the on-street parking and it turned into kind of a pissing contest and it
Yeah.
was just a lot of drama. And then the final nail in the coffin happened.
Yeah, so we were there, and then when we were there, we found out there was some issues with some of the code on the property, and we're like, it was worked out in order to fix it. It was a six-figure renovation.
And keep in mind, at that point, we were leasing the building, it was not ours.
Mm-mm.
And for that, like and it was one of those things, who puts the money into the reno?
Yeah,
It's not our building. Why would we put money into a reno that
but then
wasn't
in
our problem?
commercial, you're responsible for all the maintenance and repairs and
As
things,
per the
right?
lease. So it's
Right? So
very
we're
different.
like,
So we were just like, what is happening? So we thought that the landlords were going to be really good to work with because they had said they would be really
yeah,
good to work with. And so when we had originally talked to them, we knew in the back end that that building was quickly coming to capacity
yeah,
and that we were going to have to figure something else out.
yeah.
So there were a couple strategies we were looking at. One, there was an empty parcel of land right across the
Across the
street.
street. Yeah,
So we figured if we could buy that, then we can just park there for now and then eventually build extra buildings or extra warehouse. So
yeah,
we were like, okay, let's do that.
yeah.
Well, it sold
We
because
tried.
we tried.
And then
We tried
after it, and
so
then it
hard.
was like, it went.
It didn't
It's
work.
gone.
So we
Like,
were
what
like,
the,
what now? There's
yeah,
no
like,
other options. There was no other buildings or
yeah,
whatever for sale.
yeah,
And we were just like, what now? What
yeah.
do we do? So again, go back to the drawing board. And we were like, okay. And the biggest issue was we have two businesses, two
Mhm.
corporations that need business licenses. One is our Epic Alliance Electrical Inc., which is where we had been running, we'd been running that business out of there. And that's how we were operating our business. But they would not let us operate Epic Alliance Real Estate Inc. in that building because they said it was not zoned for
Awful.
offices. They said real estate offices,
Yeah,
which we've tried to explain. We're not realtors. It's not a
yeah,
real estate office. We're real estate investors. We flip blah, 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 but it's a gray zone and people just were not hearing it.
yeah,
So they refused to give us a business license in that building until everything was upgraded. And we were not about to put 100 grand plus into a property that we don't own.
yeah,
So we basically went down, talked to the landlords, and said, hey, this is where we're at. You guys own this building.
yeah.
You are the ones who didn't do the proper permitting. So
Mhm.
basically, it turned into a pissing contest between them and the city because they said they had done everything.
Mhm.
The city's saying no. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
So it was really
Well, it was
frustrating.
affecting our business because we couldn't get the business. Like we,
Yeah.
yeah,
So this was all going on. It
yeah.
was kind of dramatic and, whatnot. And then all of a sudden, one day, I got a phone call from Melissa because
Because the original location owner had just randomly walked into our office and introduced himself. And I happened to ironically be down, like my office was on the second floor, so was Rochelle's, and I just happened to be down in the front entrance at the time he walked in, and then he walked up to reception and was like, "Hey, can I speak with the owner of the company?" And I ironically am standing right there, and I said, "Well, I'm one of them. That's me." And I said, "How can I help you?" And he's like, "Okay, so you were one of the girls that had originally put an offer in on leasing my property." So he said, here's the story that came out was he made one of the biggest mistakes ever in his life was that he had dumped our lease because our lease wasn't just a lease, it was actually a lease with an offer to purchase as well.
a rent to
A
own.
rent to own. And so, anyways, and in the end, the person that was all hot and heavy and said, "Oh, yes, they're coming in to buy this property," didn't. They didn't close. So, in the meantime, his property, the entire time, and we're at about a year and a half since we put this offer, had been sitting empty.
No rent,
No.
covering the costs
Hmm.
on the taxes and the
On a one
utilities
acre
and
parcel
all the
and
things, insurance.
yeah. So, anyways, he said, came to us, "Are you guys looking to expand? Are you looking to, I'll give you a really good rate." And I was like, "Ooh,
And then, but it was interesting because Alyssa's like, no, we're happy.
yeah,
We're good.
yeah." I love
Because
when I get to play bad
again,
person.
it's not lying, right?
No.
It's
Yeah,
negotiation
yeah,
101.
yeah,
Whoever's the more desperate person
yeah,
is the one who is going to go lower, right? So
yeah,
if you have nothing to lose,
yeah,
who cares?
yeah.
So Alyssa calls me and she's like, you'll never believe what just happened. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And for us, the timing could not have been better
Right?
because in order for us to break the lease where we were, we were going to lose a lot of money because we were going to lose our entire deposit
Yeah.
if we moved out of that building.
Yeah.
But we were like, well, what do? We're stuck. We can't
Yeah.
do anything here. So Alyssa's like, well, my business partner's out of town, but let's book in a meeting.
Yeah.
And then when my business partner gets back, we'll come and meet with you guys. So we ended up meeting, I think it was like a week later at this building, and just kind of walked through again, just reassessed, and we were like, well, I mean, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're really comfy where we are.
And the
So the moving,
moving and the
yes.
packing,
Oh, that's a lot of
the work.
work.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's
not
Oscar.
really
Oscar.
sure. So when we ended up going through, they were like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Is there something we can do? Like, we're willing to give you a really amazing rate, and we're open to the rent to own option that you talked about previously, and so again, we're listening.
Yeah.
And we were also talking about and listening to their story and their side. And so they had no mortgage on the property. They owned it free and clear. So again, for us, we're like the leveraging queens. I was like, why would you own a property free and clear? You could pull out equity, invest that, making double digit returns in real estate. Say, I don't know where you would ever invest that, making those kind of returns, but that's what you could do, right? So it's just trying to, just get your head wrapped around it. But everybody's situation is different. And so this couple, they were retired, and their plan was to basically live off of the rental income. Well, that definitely puts a crimp in your lifestyle when you don't have that monthly income coming in. So after a few different negotiations and talking and such, we were paying 10 grand a month at the other space. And again, we had definitely outgrown it. We needed to look at a different sort of space, but we knew the move was going to put us down. We knew that there was going to be a crazy transition, and we were like, when's a great time for that to happen? Da, 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 da. Originally, I think the lease here was supposed to be 10 grand a month. I think that's what we had signed in for, or when we had done the offer. I think it was comparable. It was like exactly the same
Actually,
thing.
I think it was a little more.
Might have been a little bit more. But it gave us all everything we needed. So then when we started talking about numbers and such, what was the number that we ended up at? They were willing to basically give us a promo to encourage us to take the leap, to do the move, and the rate was going to be.
So in the end, with what do they call that? Those expenses and our rent. Anyways, it was like I think we were paying $7,800 a month.
Yeah.
That's like taxes, like everything.
So we were basically going to be saving over. Yeah, it's all the commercial stuff. But again, we don't do commercial. So we were going to basically be saving 2 grand a month by doing the move. And we were going to be losing about $20,000 at the other building by breaking that lease. So we knew that within, however many months, well, that'd be 10 months, within a year, we would have made up for that loss. And then we would have basically still been saving money after that.
And that's not even the ripple effects of
for sure
the equipment we were able to get and all the things that led to for us to
be able to expand and
be faster and quicker.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, for sure. But that's just the physical cost of it. And so for us, we were like, okay, let's make it happen. So then we did. We came in, we did the lease, and again with commercial, we're responsible for everything. So the landlords never hear from us; they just get paid rent, and it's all pretty easy peasy. So in the meantime, we tried explaining our business to this couple, and we were like, why don't you invest with us? Like, you could literally be getting an extra stream of income by re-leveraging this building we're in, and then you get the rent from us plus all these other things.
Just to put a time context on this, as of this past September, we've been in this building 2 years. So that's how quick all of this stuff happened. And the other building, our lease was actually, I think it was only 60 or 90 days. So it's not like we shafted those landlords.
It was coming to the end.
And so we were up for negotiations basically anyways. They were just kind of jerks about it, but whatever.
Yeah, it was one of those things again when your word is everything. They had told us like, oh, okay, we'll totally work with you and everything will be great. We'll figure out how much rebate, la 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 la. When push came to shove, they were like, suck balls. We were like, man, whatever. You know what? If that's how you do business and you say one thing and then you go against it, karma's a bitch. Have a great life. Bye-bye. And so anyway, not our problem. But yeah, it's just again, energy and integrity, just not in alignment. It's not a great thing. So working with the amazing people who own this building, who have been a dream to work with, they had actually we kind of pitched to them what we do, and then it turned out that they actually had an estate house that they were looking to sell. And so they had called us and they were like, hey, we have this property, not sure what to do with it. It's on the west side, da 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 da. And so I went to look at it and we ended up buying it. Right. So right there, it's interesting how by telling people who you are, what you do, what leads might transpire and come to that. Right. So as of yet, they haven't invested with us, but we'll see in the future what might come to fruition. So from there, we got a lead on a property. Now that's in our hassle-free landlord program. And then basically going forward, when we did the original lease, we did it with a rent to own option. So basically over the next 5 years, what was it, 5?
We had an option to purchase.
Yeah, it was basically,
yeah.
well, we wrote it up because this is where people are going to ask the questions about all the finite details, right?
Yep.
So we wrote the lease that we
Yep.
were going to have an option to buy
Yep.
within what time period?
5 years, and it was a set price point.
Yeah. So the property had been appraised at what?
1.2 million.
Was it 1.2?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I thought it was 1.4 at one point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
So the appraisal
Yeah.
was 1.4
Yes,
when they
because
had
the
it
market
originally,
backslid.
but then the
Yeah.
market came down a bit. They hadn't had it reassessed, so we figured that the property is probably valued at about 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And so our rent to own option was to buy it for 1.2.
Yeah.
And then from there, we could have executed at any point in time. Obviously, we would come to conclusion and all that stuff. But we figured once we ran the company for 5 years, we would have an established credit rating and we would be able to just go and refinance it on our own.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the plan. And then at that point, we were like, we'll just buy it off of them. They can go, move on into the sunset, see what they want to do, and go from there. Then all of a sudden, this conversation changed a few months back.
Yes. They actually called me and wanted to set up a meeting about if we could potentially look at buying it sooner. And so we were like, we're not really in a position yet because we were putting everything into our growth, like our expansions and everything. So we had looked at it like we knew that in 5 years we would be buying this building. Okay, so in our long game vision, that's when we had budgeted for it was then, right? And so then they were like, well, let's sit down and talk about it and see what we can potentially come up with. And it was pretty cool. So I ended up meeting with them and they were incredibly open to it being completely them, basically,
Owner financing.
Owner financing, yes. And so that was like a gift from the gods. I can't even. And then it gets better because our integrity had been so good the whole time we had been renting this place. They also follow us and watch, our growth on social media and stuff like that. But they also, it was so funny because they were like, we're so proud of you guys and everything you're doing. So we really want to do this. They didn't even ask for barely a deposit.
Yeah, they said that they had talked to their accountant and it would work better if we didn't give them any money.
Yeah.
And we're like,
oh,
okay, so you just
we
want
like
us,
your
yeah, so you just want us to buy a $1.2 million building with no money down. Okay. So that's what happened. So that's what happened. And again, the reason, and this is why I want to go back to why people should not be selling themselves short.
Yeah.
Right? If you think that you can do nothing because you have no money, that is a limiting belief. Right? So you don't know what you can do unless you ask.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to ask, then you're never going to hear a yes.
Nope.
Right? So sometimes people are afraid to put themselves out there. I get that. It can be really scary, but amazing things can happen when you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the main takeaway lesson I hope a lot of people take from here is that, working in integrity, creating win-win opportunities, and just really, putting your mouth where your what I can't remember the word, my brain's melting down, but your money where your mouth is. Your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Even if it's only $1, right?
Yeah.
Like you just put your money where your mouth is and just make it work.
Yeah.
And that's the really big thing. So
you have to remember 90% of these transactions, whether you're buying a house or whatever, is you selling yourself to that situation. You have to sit down and get somebody to buy into the whole thing. right? So when I work with the realtors, I'm like huge on have those conversations on the ideal that no one else is coming through the house, no one else is going to, there's no conditions, like this is done. They don't have to sit there and go, well, is it, like what is their time worth? What is their stress worth? Those kinds of things, right? That we, and explain to the realtor on the other side who's going, wow, they're only putting such a small amount of money down. It doesn't matter whether we put a $1 down or $1,000 down. We are going to buy it. Okay. So we want the inventory. We're not here to just tie up properties for fun. Right. So it is always, it's a big thing. I think people forget that in a lot of negotiations and transactions, everybody wants to go so quickly to what they're trying to sell over selling themselves first and then selling the product. Right. And I think that is something that's really lost out there, and people need to circle it back.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the full story.
Well,
And
and there's a few more pieces though,
okay.
because so it gets better. So not only did we end up there holding the financing, but the deposit we did give was already what we had placed for the rental. Thank you for our security deposit. So we already had that. But on top of it, they completely worked with a payment schedule that worked for us. Like we got to pick the day of the month, we got to pick, and we worked together. The interest rate they gave us was incredibly amazing. And we're ecstatic because in the end, our payments are only whatever, a few $100 more than what we were paying to lease. And now we get to own this
Paying into principal.
right? So I mean that like I mean as much as like I get it, for a lot of people 2020 has been not a great year. Again, for us, we're focusing on these things. We bought a $1.2 million building with virtually no money down, and that's awesome. Like, and that happened in 2020, like, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just goes to show you, what are you focusing on, right? If you're focusing on all the bad things that are out there, that's what's just going to keep coming at you. And I know it's hard sometimes when you're in those places and it's kind of like the snake eating its tail, that, how does it stop? Well, sometimes you just gotta cut and then move on, right? Like it's up to you, right? So anyways, but yeah, we love this building. Compared, like we said, the other one had, if I remember correctly, it was 3,000 square feet warehouse and about 6,000 square feet office. And this one is 8,000 square feet warehouse and like less than 2,000 square feet office. So I mean, it was really what we needed, and we were so excited once we got here, and the move was entertaining. Not all of that is a story in itself. So we rented a flat deck trailer from Flamin. Thank you very much, Flamin, for the access to a 29-foot trailer, because it helped immensely. And from there, we literally emptied an entire warehouse office that's over 9,000 square feet in 2 days.
Keep in mind, it's like a block and a half away.
Yeah.
So literally, they would put it on,
2 days.
move it over,
Yeah.
take it off,
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah, we hooked it up to, back then I had a truck, and we hooked it up, and we would fill it. I would drive it over, or somebody would drive it over, and we would offload everything. But it was quite the chaos. And then, oh my gosh, one side funny story. So it's not uncommon, people, investors or associates we have, they'll have furniture that they just want to get rid of or whatever. And a lot of times we try and take it and then we give it to tenants, right? To clients. And so it was so funny because there were some mattresses at the warehouse, and I was like, Rochelle, what are we doing with these? And she's like, I don't know. We just, they were donated to us. And I said, oh, you know what? I got a perfect tenant on Avenue R. I said, he's a single dad with a bunch of kids. Well, I said, I know they don't have beds. Let's take them. And she's like, hey, good. I'm happy with that. So anyways, so here's me. I load up these 4 mattresses onto a 29-foot trailer and drive it through the core of Saskatoon, which you have to understand, these are 100-year-old streets. So they're incredibly narrow. So I can drop off 4 mattresses. It was entertaining anyways. I sometimes wish I'd filmed that. but
They made it there.
oh yeah, it was all good. But it was just one of those funny moments. But just put my previous life experiences to work because I have my 1A and so for me it wasn't a big deal. But all the looks I was getting from people because I'm like, there's just a mattress on that trailer and like it's like anyways. But yeah, so should we go to our
We
questions?
had a couple
Oh,
more comments.
comments. Okay.
So after our reveal, we had Diana said congrats, Benay said awesome, congratulations, Albert, woo, congratulations. So thank you,
Thank you.
Raphael, awesome, congratulations.
Thank
So thank
you.
you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, it goes back to thank you all of our investors who believe in us
Yep.
because we wouldn't be able to grow without our amazing partners. So
Yep.
thank you guys. And then the other side of the actual opportunity that I kind of want to take a note on is the couple that own this, they are looking at succession planning. And that is really why they were talking to their accountant
Mm-hmm.
and why the accountant had said that an outright sale would hit them really hard with taxation.
Yeah.
Whereas if they were able to spread, and I don't know the whole taxation world and everything like that, but there's some way that when you sell a building, you can basically spread your taxation over 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's why it made more sense for them to sell it, but then take back the mortgage because then they didn't have to pay taxes on the entire sale because they didn't actually get the money. They became the bank.
Yeah.
And so this is going really big into make sure you have a great accountant and a lawyer that you work with who know the bigger picture. Because again, we don't know all the things, but if you work with people, you hire people who know the things, that is where the magic is. And also, if you're in a similar situation where whether you do this on a house or whether you do it on a commercial building or a multifamily, there's a lot of estates that own multifamily apartment buildings. And some people are like, there's no way anybody would ever do a vendor take back or would do vendor financing. You don't know that,
Yeah.
right?
You don't know their scenario.
So if you know that somebody, say it's in a family estate or however it's owned, if you could go and kind of write up a proposal to show them how they're going to save an extra 50 to however many hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, and you go and it's valid and you know their situation, whatever, and you give them a proposal that's going to show them that you're going to put so much more tax-free money in their pocket, a smart person's not going to be like, not interested. A smart person, a logical person is going to say, tell me more, please.
Yeah.
Right? So again, it's really important for you to do your research. Again, we don't touch that. That's not something we're going after. It's just a nugget for those who are active on here.
But we have people on speed dial that do.
Yeah, that too. So again, just make sure that if you're wanting to be active and do the things, make sure that you're doing all the things because there's so much opportunity, guys. It's unreal. So, okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, some of these you've covered already.
We're gonna do a tour. I know we've done like small tours here before,
We can.
but I don't know if. Let us know. Say yes if you guys want us to do a tour. If not, we'll just stay here and keep chatting.
Show it around.
But yeah, I know we've done a tour of the warehouse before because we did another epic hour that was just in the warehouse, and then yeah. So, okay, all right. Was there?
How and when did you
we went through
originally
some of this.
was there the location factor? We talked about location. Was there a time it was based out of another location?
Oh, this is a good one. Favorite and least favorite things about the office as it stands. So we have outgrown this space too. It's probably the last 6 months have been painful. Just because we're working like 3 to an office, and then they're like, COVID. We're like, yep, still 3 to an office. So, but a few things we've done. We haven't done much. When we got the building, we just did fresh paint. We switched out the light switches and plugs, and just
we updated the lighting, like the lighting.
Yeah, it used to be old fluorescent. And that, but very minor overall. We got a forklift for the shop. We got racking in the warehouse, and then just kind of built like storage and stuff like that out there. But as we've grown, we have been switching office spaces and usages, and now we're actually using all of the basement space in this building as well. So Diana says, you guys are amazing. Thank you. Margot says, love you guys, so much info. Awesome. We're here to, deliver as much as we can. So we always want to make sure that everybody's getting their time value for hanging out with us. So yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, just let us know.
The big yes on Instagram says yes.
Yes to the tour. Okay. Okay.
All right, we'll make it
Dish.
happen in
We'll
a
do
couple
that.
of minutes then.
Okay, awesome. And then you can meet some of the staff if you guys haven't met. They don't, a lot of them
Oh,
don't
it'll
like,
be hard to recognize them because it'll be like this. So.
a lot of them don't like being on camera,
Camera.
but we don't care. We always tell people, if you're afraid of being on camera, don't work here. So, yeah, but yeah, the basement is really like we've got tons of offices down there now, and it's just we're using every inch of this space.
We had to get very creative.
And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the new year. We've got some other things in the pipeline, so stay
Yeah.
tuned. Yep, and
Okay.
then okay, here's a good one.
Yeah.
As I understand it, this is kind of new territory for Epic Alliance Inc. Given the success of this deal, would the company consider potentially investing in other commercial buildings?
Yes, but just not at this time.
And the other side of that too is the only commercial buildings we would ever look at are not to lease to other people.
Yeah.
It would just be to use for our business. If it
Yeah.
makes more sense for us to lease a space or purchase again, maybe the same format or whatever, that like a space to whether I'm just thinking of new cities kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah,
But again, in the States, it's going to be very different because we're not going to have the same scalability.
Staffing.
And yeah, we're not wanting to have team members in house. We want to employ other people's teams. And so for us, we don't want to really have any overhead. We don't want to have the need for any office. It's going to be basically running really remotely. And at some point, we might have a head office down there, but it'll probably be a ways away if we decide to go that route. And
Here.
so yeah, but this is not something. And also the other side note is we don't count this $1.2 million building towards our journey to a billion. Because
No.
again, don't forget the journey to a billion is just single residential houses.
And again, that's why we haven't branched off heavily into like apartments and commercial, because we are so focused and dedicated on getting to that $1 billion real estate control and residential. And so we don't want to get our residential stuff to get washed down with these other things.
Yeah, and with us, that's a lot of little houses we need to go get. And so whenever an opportunity presents itself, and believe me, there's a lot, which is amazing. We live in a very abundant universe. But for us, it's like nope, 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 nope. If it's going to detract from the journey to a billion, it has to be a no, not right now.
Yeah.
Whereas this opportunity came flush in line with what we were already building because it was already there, right? So it's its own entity, but at the same time, we're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it, right? Whereas when people bring us apartment buildings, it just doesn't help us towards the journey to a billion. So unfortunately, the answer will always be no right now. Yeah. Once we hit the journey to a billion, like the $1 billion number,
game changer.
holy cow.
You know, and this circles back to a lot of people ask, okay, Rochelle talks about retiring, you know, in 2 years. And it's like, yeah, but you guys have to understand, we'll be like pretty much at our $1 billion journey. So retirement for us is just, we're out of the day to day with what we have right now, so that we can go and find all those other amazing opportunities and start up new teams, get it going, and do it again and do it again. And it's faster and faster and faster. And then we're going to end up with all these empires and just keep building things out.
And it's just systemizing, finding new opportunities, finding the right team members, and then putting the systems together and then move on to the next. Right. So in the meantime, I want to take a lot of time to travel. And so, you know, when I get bored of that, then I'll be like, what to do.
Right. And the cool thing is, even when you travel, who knows what you'll come across.
Totally, yeah, for sure. I already have like my wheels turning just based on people's like Instagram stories and stuff. I'm like, oh man, that would be a cool business. What if they at least done that? How if they do it? Like,
right?
It just happens, right? Entrepreneurial brains. Let me know if you know what
And
I'm talking about.
It's been really difficult for us with entrepreneurial brains to stay focused.
Like journey to a billion.
To
a billion. So that's why I'm trying to shave off one of the years for the growth, because in theory, I think we had a
Oh yes.
So in theory, it was a 10-year snapshot of the growth. People have probably seen it, but essentially here, when you look at the growth chart, we are in 2020 right now. So in theory, it's going to be 3 years till we hit 3 billion. But I am trying to cut a year off because I am out in two, and I selfishly want to be here for the $1 billion mark. So I'm trying to cut a year off. So if you look at, we've doubled our portfolio every year. I'm basically trying to double or trying to basically quadruple next year. Because if we can slice off this year and end 2021 controlling $500 million in residential real estate, then we've sliced off a year and then just one more year to double to get to $1 billion. So that's actually my goal. But
Such great timing with all of the new software and all the things that are happening on the back end
yeah.
so that we can handle all of the upscale of everything.
Yeah. So again, 2021 is going to be a really great year. I can't remember. Did we pick our topic for next week? So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
So yeah, and okay, so let's talk about next week. So if you guys want to get your calendars out,
Yeah.
we will go over next week's Epic Hour, and then you can mark your calendars, and then Alyssa will take you on a quick tour. So next week's Epic Hour, Wednesday, December 30th at
Yes. Noon Saski time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And the topic is that, well, that was a terrible drum roll. I just choked on my own tongue. Epic Alliance Inc.'s 2020 year in review.
So we're going to go over a lot of the milestones that we hit,
Yeah.
and we will also talk about some of we'll leave kind of nuggets for what we're working on heading into 2021. So I know it's a busy time of year with Christmas and everything going on, but I know some people are still, not able to meet with their families, so they do have more time on their hands. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us or watch the replay. But in the meantime, thank you guys for watching and being with us. And we hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. And
Yeah.
do you want to do the tour?
I'm ready. I'm game. Well, there's some of the new artwork, Rochelle.
Hey, Michael.
Hello. Just a comment from, I believe, Bene again. Would love to see an episode with a day in the life of a team member, property inspector, Alyssa checking out potential purchases.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
That could give us quite a few episodes if we actually follow some different That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then we got this handy dandy new.
Yeah, new table is covered in my stuff because remember we talked about, I'll show you my office, but it's no longer my office. So I work wherever I can find a corner, and today my corner was the border. So this is a good room. It literally is just, it's got the projector, we love the big screen, especially it's so relevant now with all the Zoom calls and everything going on. We always have the girls hanging out with us in the corner. We always put them in the corner to keep them in line. Over there, this is a cool thing. This is stuff that we're working on in our culture. So we've got the foundation of 10. These are 10 core words that we really feel represent who Epic Alliance is. So unapologetically authentic, high integrity, innovators, humorous, growth-oriented, magnetic, empowering, solution providers driven, and visionary thought leaders. So yeah, we're working all that stuff in for the company to grow. So like we said, eventually when Rochelle and I are, and I don't know, they always say a high tower, but I don't think there'll be any high towers. But anyways, we're not as in the day to day. We want to make sure that those beliefs and foundations and integrities that we design in this company stay as foundational points. All right, let's go see who we can find and get them in trouble. Oh, look at Big Lee.
Causing trouble.
Causing trouble. There you go. We'll head downstairs. We'll go surprise them. See how they're doing. Put your clothes back on. We're coming down to show the office. I was joking. That would be a bad HR nightmare if I came down here and people weren't wearing clothes. How's it going, guys? How's it going? So we got Kate over here, the accounting team. So she's just working on it. So we're not kidding when we said we need every inch of this office. And I know landlords, people you can't tell behind her mask. This is our utilities department. And I'm going to even take you to the far corners. Thanks, guys. Take you to the far corners. This is literally where the PIs are working out of. I'm not kidding you when we tell you that we have literally those keys. Look at all the keys, right? Does that not have feet in itself, right? Another desk back there for one of the PIs. So the PIs are our property inspectors. So because we're buying so many properties so quickly, we roll the properties into a regiment where they are automatically checked every 72 hours if they're vacant. And so we literally hired people that's what they're doing, is just winterizing properties and checking on them to make sure nobody's in there, there's no water, the water's off, all those things. And so yeah, that's one of our systems to keep our investors investments protected. So we'll head upstairs now. Rest is just stored in the back there. Michael's got a good angle. He's coming up from behind me. Everybody's in here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the PCS. So again, I gotta get out. He's on the phone working. So that was the PCS office. So that's where they're the ones, we call them property care specialists. They're dealing with the tenants and, so that's their space to get their stuff done. And then here we have, look at this. There we go. It's working from home today. Washrooms are really exciting, but necessary. Believe me, don't want to be without washrooms. Right? Really? They are, right? But we have somebody coming in morning and night sanitizing everything. So I'm like, everything's squeaky clean. Hey, say hi to TV Land. How's it going?
I'm good.
So who are you?
Carly, I'm the receptionist.
There we go. See? So she is like whoever you get to see when they come through the door. And yes, I knew Carly's name. I also know her mom. So this is who everybody gets to see when they come through the door. And there's the front door. It's, exciting. Again, this is Rochelle's office. This is the investor office. Say hello.
Hi.
So this is funny. Okay, so you'll have Sherry working in here. Then you have Bailey working in here. And then you have Rochelle working in here. So we weren't kidding when he said we're on top of each other. Bye-bye. I'm gonna sneak in here. So these are the PCS coordinators. So we'll hello. So say hi to TV. This is our PCS coordinators working hard. And again, not kidding, multiple people in office. And then this is my office. Some of you have met Bob before. That's here. And that's Colleen. So
Also her dear.
right? She's very dear to me. My other dear is off on holidays, and that's Jan. But so normally these two are working away in here, which is why I'm all spread out in the boardroom because we're literally on top of each other. And actually, ironically, through the window here, we are the keepers of the ways because we can watch all the field staff coming and going and doing all the things. So it's kind of funny because we're the project managers. But anyways, Colleen has been with us what now? 2 months?
That, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So she has a very special job because she is basically, I couldn't figure out how to basically, there's no real way, it's not an easy thing to do, put what I do every day in a manual. We're working on it, we're breaking it out and making it happen. So Colleen is actually one of our investors who then went, I really like what you guys are doing and all the things in real estate, and thought about doing some real estate stuff herself. But then she went, wait, I know these really amazing girls and think that it'd be kind of cool to potentially see what they're doing. And what happened?
Well, I was actually talking to Rochelle about an investment, my fund flip investment, and I said, I really like what you guys are doing. Can I come work with you? Surprisingly, they haven't figured this out yet. They said yes.
And she, you know what, she's killing it. And her whole role has been helping me getting the systems up and running, getting the SOPs dealt with, getting a lot of our stuff off of paper onto computer, because there just isn't enough hours in the day, go figure, for me to be out there buying a house a day, plus trying to run 90 employees, plus trying to get everything delegated on the back end. It's awesome. So anyways, so basically, Colleen is my apprentice, because I was like, yeah, there's no manual for this, so we're gonna write the manual and learn by the seat of our pants, right?
Yeah. Want to see it?
No, that's too much Christmas presents. So yeah, so here we have. That's honestly why Colleen is here. She's slowly going to help replace me in some of the day-to-day stuff, so that I can get basically in a position where, like we spoke earlier, Rochelle and I, about the whole being able to do, we should be working, her and I should be working more on what's happening 12 months from now, what's happening 3 years from now, what's happening 5 years, what's happening 10 years, right? That's how a business becomes a legacy, not just something that is completely reliant on the owner. Okay. We've had lots of people ask, well, what happens if something happens to you guys? Well, we're in the process of making sure nothing happens, even if something were to happen to us. And that's the ultimate goal. All right. So
Merry Christmas, everyone.
there we go. So that's the office right now. Oh, there's the little kitchen kind of thing. We got a fridge. And then all I could see, it was donut day. That's, yeah. What do I mean by that? They're made up the street here in a bakery in Pleasant Hill. They're so good. I swear it's, I'm sure it's not true, but I swear there's like some like crack cocaine or something in them because they're hood donuts, but they're so good.
An X-rated episode of the Epic Hour.
Right? It's holiday season. I don't know. Do we want to quickly go to the warehouse?
I think it will cut out.
I can't take you over to the warehouse because we will get cut off because of the Wi-Fi. So sorry, folks. Next time. Well, and actually just go back and watch previous episodes because we did do a tour of the warehouse. I know we did that. So it's just a giant tin building with a lot of stuff in it. Oh, yeah. Here's some team members. Yeah. There we go.
Over the fence at night.
Yeah. Oh, look at you sitting. Oh. Oh. We have to get some. Oh, good. Yeah. So Molly is the mother to Truder. And Truder is her millennial child. He has not left, probably never will. You know how there's some of us with kids in the basement till they're 40. Yeah, this is them. They're very modern. Actually, they look really cute until you have to come here after the gates are closed, and then I don't recommend it. They will be very angry. What are we at for now for dead critters in this yard? 4 at least, and then yeah, but we saved the raccoon barely, but yeah. So there you go. Oh, Critter, don't go away, man. Just go away.
We got lots of love in here.
Oh
so
God, they're spoiled. But yeah, so there you have it. There's the office in a nutshell, and we're excited. We'll keep going and growing, and keep bringing you interesting information and updates and changes. And we're excited to kind of review, you know, the previous year and bring it to everybody next week. I'm just setting this down, so I don't know if it's right, but all right, let's be good.
awesome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the tour.
Demoted to social media. There we have it.
Demoted.
I'm the owner. That would be a demotion for me.
We all have our pieces and our parts. That team epic. Awesome. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. And again,
Apparently the social media team is worth more than me.
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying equal. Equal.
Sorry, we love to joke around here. Remember the one of the 10 words? Humorous.
There's lots of humor. Awesome. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching on the replay, type replay. And yeah, we hope to see you on next week's Epic Hour. So have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays for you and your family. I know this year's a lot different, but I'm sure you can make the best out of the situation. That's it. So that's it. That's all I got. So thank you guys. That's all we got. So stay
Stay epic.
epic.